Hello, everybody. I'm Elwood from Passion for Film, and today I'm going to be talking about the Fantastic Four First Steps. Little warning before we start off this video that there is spoilers involved, so if you haven't already seen this film, I suggest you pause this video here, go watch the film, save this video, and come right back afterwards to watch it. This is a film that I actually watched in the cinema for my birthday. I watched a film in the cinema for quite a while. In fact, I think the last one before this was the Minecraft movie. So, yeah, that was a bit of a joke with some of my mates, but this film in the cinema was epic. It makes me forget how good it is to see like a sci-fi or an action film, something that's got a lot of going on with explosions and crazy sound design and stuff like that. It makes me forget how cool it is to see on the big screen. It reminds me of when I went to the 20th, or was it the 25th anniversary? No, the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, one of my favorite films ever. And yeah, we watched that at the cinema, and I was like, what? This is crazy. I've never experienced this film like this before. Yeah, anyway, this film is probably the best Marvel film in a while, at least in my opinion. We had Thunderbolts, which was alright, and there was what was it, Brave New World, the new Captain America one, which I didn't mind. I saw them both, and I was gonna go and do a little video on him, and then I didn't do him. So yeah, but we've had stuff like Marvel's Eternals. There was the Thor, was it Love and Thunder, the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man, Quantumanium, or whatever it was called. But yes, there's definitely some bad ones in there, and that's why everybody's sort of losing their interest in Marvel. At least I was until I saw this. But there's definitely the Marvel fatigue, I guess you could call it, versus this sort of freshness of this new film, which I quite enjoyed. Yeah, onto the characters together. All right, I've seen Pedro Pascal in what's he been in? The Mandalorian, and in fact, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen him in much other stuff, to be honest. And then obviously you've got Joseph Quinn from, well, not from, but he's in Stranger Things. That's one of his main things. And it was interesting seeing those two actors together, which is weird. But I definitely prefer the actors from the older film, not the not the 2015 film, of course, because I've never even seen that. And from what I have seen, it doesn't look too good, especially the reviews. But I'm talking about the early 2000s. I don't know what year it was, 2003, 2004, something like that. But those ones with, what do we got? We got Jessica Alba, which, oh my god, that probably makes the whole film. I mean, goodness gracious, she's got to be like top five most attractive women of all time. Anyway, and then Chris Evans, before he was Captain America, he was flipping Johnny Storm, which is pretty crazy. And I definitely think he does a lot better job of playing that character than Joseph Quinn does. He's just got that sort of cheeky. He's got the cheeky sort of playful side of the character. He's got that nailed a lot better than Joseph Quinn, I thought. I mean, they had bits in this film with like the it's clobbering time and stuff like that, which they tried to bring that out, but no, it doesn't really compare to Chris Evans' version. But I don't, I can't remember the actors' names for the other characters, but I thought even the guy who plays Reed Richards, he seems more fitting for the role, I guess. He seems like a scientist. He seems like he would be a superhero, whereas Pedro Pascal, I don't know. It kind of seems like he's in there because he's Pedro Pascal. I mean, I have nothing against Pedro Pascal and the work he's done, but yeah, it seemed I don't think he really fit in that role too much. It will be interesting to see when he reprises that role in later films. All right, on to the villain, Galactus. He was super duper menacing, and I really loved his voice. Is it Ralph Ineson or Ineson who plays it? And he's got the really deep voice which is super cool. And I just love that scene when they first meet him and he like sort of stands up and it's just so imposing, and the way his voice echoes. I love the line where they trick him the first time with, what's the kid's name? Is it like Frank or something? I don't know. Frank? Oh, it's something strange, I think. But he goes like clever little bugs, which yeah, in when I was in the cinema, my mate leaned over to me and he was like, "Oh, that was cold." I was like, "Yeah, it kind of was." But I thought he's really small, isn't he, Galactus? He's really, really small. Now, obviously, that's a lie there, but he's kind of smaller than I would like him to be. They're explaining that he destroys worlds and he's supposed to be like a celestial being, but yet he's only like the size of a skyscraper. I've seen photos of, obviously before this film came out, where Galactus is like the size of the planet, or like his face is the size of the planet, which is crazy. And I would have much preferred to see that. But then again, you wouldn't really have much of a film because he could just literally crush the earth with his hand. And the film would be over pretty early. But yeah, I feel like he would have been more of an Avengers level threat than a Fantastic Four level threat if he was actually the size that I would have liked him to be. All right. The vibe of this film is quite interesting. It mixes two different styles. It's got the 60s style, which it's based off the original 60s comic books, and it's got the bright colors and stuff like that. In fact, what's his name? The Thing is very much, he's got the original comic book like design, which I don't know, I don't really like that too much, but I guess if they're trying to stick to the original comic books, which is fair enough. But it's a very interesting mix because you've not only got the 60s when technology wasn't that much around, but it also mixes it with like futuristic sci-fi stuff, which is something I've never seen before. And it's definitely one of the main things that sort of makes that cool, is the fact that it's futuristic but with bright colors. Normally in futuristic stuff, it's very muted. You've got a lot of grays and silvers and stuff like that. But I really liked this bright color futurism. It was awesome. One of the standout scenes for me, actually, talking of future, well, not necessarily futuristic, but sci-fi, is the black hole scene. I thought it was flippin' awesome. I preferred it to Interstellar, which, well, to be honest, I think it's the only other film that I've seen with a black hole in it. But, well, it wasn't necessarily a better black hole because, a black hole's a black hole. But we spend a lot more time near this black hole, and I feel like I've said black hole a million times, but the way that they actually utilize it to stop the Silver Surfer, or at least slow her down, I thought that was really cool. If you watched my other videos, I love when they put something that actually like teaches you something or makes you think in it. So I thought that was very clever, the way that they dealt with that, using the black hole to like dilate time or whatever it does, and the way she sort of goes in and then she like stretches out as she's trying to come. I thought that was pretty awesome visuals as well. All right. Difference to other Marvel eras. Feels very different, this film does. It's actually the first film in Phase 6 of Marvel, which is crazy that we're on Phase 6, because I feel like I sort of phased out, you know? Anyway, because I remember when they were talking about, like, Marvel Phase 4, and it was all of these cool films, and now we're on Phase 6. I can't believe it. But the other films to come from Phase 6, you got Spider-Man, what's it called? Brand New Day, which they're filming at the moment. You've got Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars to come. But the vibe of this film is very different to other Marvel films. I don't know how to explain it, or at least MCU films. I guess it's probably because it's different characters that I've never seen in Marvel films before. They seem to be, when you think about it, a lot of the films I've seen recently, they have the same characters in that you've seen before in other films. It's not new characters. So I guess that's probably where this one felt different. Obviously, it's got a different vibe to it, but it's also characters that I've never seen in an MCU film before. So it's kind of cool. A bit more about Doomsday and Secret Wars. Okay, I'm super excited. I've been excited since they were announced. What was it? Was it 2022 that they were announced, I think? In fact, yeah, because I remember I was sitting next to a friend and we were talking about it and we were on our laptops in school and he was explaining that Secret Wars is actually based on the comic book called Secret Wars, which is when like everybody comes together and it just makes me super excited to see that, of course. And I also wonder if we'll get multiple of the same characters from different multiverses. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if something like Spider-Man's just been knocked out or something and he's on the floor, and then all of a sudden something happens, whether like Doctor Strange opens a portal or something, and then, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man just jump through. And I think that would be super cool because it utilizes more actors to play different roles, which I guess you could fit in some of that diversity quota there. But also, it would be super interesting to see John Krasinski playing Reed Richards like he does in, I think it's a Doctor Strange sequel that happened, which was kind of cool. But imagine that. That would be awesome. And yeah, I think it would be super cool to see different. Like, imagine if they could bring back from different. Oh, okay, never mind. I've just thought of something cool. What if in a different multiverse, Captain America didn't go back to spend the rest of his life with, is it Peggy Carter, and then Chris Evans just comes back as Captain America. I mean, that's kind of bound to happen, isn't it? If you've seen the recent like interviews with him, he's looking jacked and he's looking like Captain America. So I think it will be happening, which is super exciting. All right. What I was expecting versus what I got. The truth is, I wasn't really expecting much, as I'd only watched one trailer and maybe a few clips, like on TikTok or something. And in fact, I was going to watch Superman for my birthday rather than Fantastic Four, but then a friend said, I was telling them about it, and they were like, "Oh, I've heard different. I thought that Fantastic Four is better than Superman." So I thought, I've only heard this from one guy who said it online, whereas my mates probably heard it from people who have actually seen the film. So I decided to trust him, and I'm glad I did because I watched Superman a couple days after I watched Fantastic Four, and yeah, I think it's safe to say I didn't like Superman nearly as much. So I'm glad I went to see Fantastic Four instead. All right, where is Marvel heading? This film makes me hopeful, I guess, for the future of Marvel. I think it was very smart what they did with the end credits and the sort of the post credits scene where the kid is like talking to Doctor Doom, which is kind of cool. And then when it says the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday, I just thought that was super smart. Smart way for them to get people excited for the future, people who like that film, and they're like, oh, I get to see him again in the next film. So that was smart, and it's worked because I'm super excited as well. And finally, a little fun fact to end off the video for you. All the Fantastic Four actors from the unreleased 1994 movie all cameoed in this one. They were like, remember right at the start where they're explaining the sort of origins and there's people going, you're like, thank you, Fantastic Four, and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of people. One of those is the four actors who played the Fantastic Four in the unreleased 1994 film, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool indeed. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about the Fantastic Four First Steps. I hope you enjoyed it nearly as much as I enjoyed the actual film. So why don't you like and subscribe and do all of those nice little things for me and have a nice day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.